We've been together just kind of leaving last week.
Monterey, they had live drive.
Good afternoon, and thank you, all of you, for coming. This is an amazing Purple Palooza. It's really, really great to see everyone. Thanks for making the journey. Some of you drove 5 minutes, and some of you flew across the country, and we really appreciate seeing everybody here. A couple of quick announcements before we get started with the program. There is a memory book on the table down this way. If you haven't had an opportunity at some point, if you would waft by it and write a few wishes for Trevor or memories about Trevor, we'd love to be able to reflect back on them. Trevor also loved Japan, all things Japan. There's a beautiful table set up here by one of our good friends, Lou, with some origami cranes on them. It's a big Japanese tradition. So if you get an opportunity to go by and write a note, Lou can explain how that works. I really want to thank my granddaughter, Allie. She worked her butt off for this event. She made all of the picture boards, and for many of you who missed it when you came in, there are bulbs of purple flowers in a basket on the table just inside the entrance with the name tags on it. So please go grab some and plant them so Trevor can be in your garden in his purple glory for all time. Hopefully for all time. I'd probably kill the plant, but that's a whole other issue. So, Allie, thank you for making all of the favors and all of the pictures, and she just put so much work into this, so I appreciate that a lot. Also, to Lou, thanks for doing all of the origami. Lou's parents in Japan sent over hundreds of them. There was 1,000 origami cranes that got put together, which I think is really lovely. So thanks for that. Many people have asked us if there is a charity that you can donate to in lieu of flowers or whatever else. This is by no means a request for donations, but if you are interested, over on the table down there with the memory book are some little cards with Family House's name and address on it. Frank and I have been involved with Family House for 30 years, and Trevor used to volunteer there Quite often, he's been to most of their fundraisers. It's a residence home in San Francisco for kids and their families who are undergoing treatment for cancer or other life-threatening illnesses, and it's a great, great organization. And then one more quick housekeeping note. Somebody lost a silver hoop earring, and it's over on the entrance table with, it's over on the entrance table with the name tags. So if you lost your earring, it's sitting over there for you. And now we're going to do the first quick reading. It's my Uncle Phil. He's my dad's identical twin, and we just pretty much call him Unc. So Unc is going to come up and do a reading, then we're going to have a song and some more readings. The food is out. It's a buffet, so please help yourself at any time. We'll have some breaks in the action for some songs and an opportunity for people to get up and get something to eat, and then we'll have a few more people speak. And the other thing that we really, really would like to hear are Trevorisms, funny Trevor stories, anything that you have to share about our beautiful son. We would love to hear it. Keep it kind of PG rated, you know. I say that was my son as well. So with that, Uncle Phil, Unc.
Trevor Francis Seelinger Holminski, 1994-2015. He was my grandnephew, but to him I was Unc. A Young Life Cut Short. The author is unknown. Do not judge a biography by its length, nor by the number of pages in it. Judge it by the richness of its contents. Sometimes those unfinished are among the most poignant. Do not judge a song by its duration, nor by the number of its notes. Judge it by the way it touches and lifts the soul. Sometimes these unfinished are among the most beautiful. And when something has enriched your life, and when its melody lingers in your heart, is it unfinished or is it endless? A death has occurred. The author, Paul Aranian. A death has occurred and everything has changed. We are painfully aware that life can never be the same again, that yesterday is over, that relationships once rich have ended. But there's another way to look upon this truth. If life now went on the same, without the presence of the one who has died, we could only conclude that life we remember made no contribution, filled no space, meant nothing. The fact that this person left behind a place that cannot be filled is a high tribute to this individual. Life can be the same after a trinket has been lost, but never after the loss of a treasure.
And now we're going to have a song from Alana DeCampos and Genesis Furman. Alana was Trevor's college roommate most recently, and Genesis is a friend of theirs as well, and they are going to play a song for us. Next up will be a reading by Carol Ann.
The
That's sweet. We love you.
Hello. So I'm just going to read just a brief paragraph to introduce the Buddhist reading that I'd like to do. And thanks for the song to get me going, crying before I even could start my thing. So, in the precious little time I was fortunate enough to be around Trevor, I always felt that he was a sweet, wonderful, intelligent, and sensitive young man who cared very much for his parents and for his friends and for his family, and indeed all of his family and friends. I know he was certainly loved by all who knew him. I'm so very sorry for your loss, Allison and Frank, and pray every day for Trevor and you to be in peace. Nichiren, the founder of the Buddhism I have been practicing for many years, wrote letters of encouragement to his followers who were suffering. The excerpt I quote here was written to the mother of a boy who passed away at 16 years old. Even though this letter was written to a grieving mother in 13th century Japan, I felt when I read it that it may be encouraging to you guys at this time. Having lost your beautiful son at such a young age, I hope you can hear it in this spirit and that it may bring some hope and comfort to you in this sad time. Pause. So we'll be able to read. This is in quotes now from the Gosho that Nietzsche wrote. His having died so young, however, well, to find a reason is like the buds of a flower being withered by the wind, or the full moon suddenly waning. You may feel that if only your son Trevor had left word where you could go to meet him, then without wings he would soar to his side. Okay? And without a boat, you would cross over to China. If you heard that he was in the bowels of the earth, then how could you fail to dig through the earth? And yet there is a way to meet him readily. With God and or Buddha and or kings and queens of the heavens as your guide, you can go to meet him in the pure land of Eagle Peak. And today, following his passing, all the Buddhas have surely gathered about him in the pure land of Eagle Peak, seating him on their palms, patting his head, embracing him and rejoicing, welcoming him with affection as one would welcome a moon that has just risen or blossoms that have just burst into bloom. Next.
There's no one in town I know. You gave us
process all of that. Somebody once told me that the strongest personalities and the strongest people aren't here for very long. They don't need to be, their presence was enough. And that reminds me of Trevor every time I think of it. I also have the serenity prayer on my arm, so I don't ever forget it. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Trevor and I live by those means, and we will always be bound by that part of our lives. So, thank you all for coming.
Thank you. Gifted, bright young lady who was a very good friend of Trevor's. One of my favorite stories about Shannon and Trevor, they wanted to go see the movie Rock of Ages, and since it was about Hollywood, they decided that they should get totally decked out in their best and finest clothes so that they could be like Hollywood stars going to see a movie about Hollywood. She's so lovely and so strong and so amazing, and she's going to do a reading for us now, followed by another song. Trevor took after his father.
Well, first, I guess I should apologize. It's been a long time since I've been at Antioch, so my hair went from silk to a poodle. And I'm pretty sure I've cried most of my makeup off. I'm sorry, Trevor, you know I'm a tomboy, I tried. I had been begging Allison to let me help in any way I could, and one thing she had mentioned was that everyone was going to be doing readings, and try as I might, I could not find anything that could even match the qualities and ideas I had of Trevor. So, I try to put my thoughts to words. Bear with me, I read fast. I'm a geechee. Up now your Milky Way, close for the eye to see. A vivid wave of colors so beautiful that even the barb fails with no words to glean. Up above the clouds, no longer fleshly bound. You burn as a light with a newfound energy no mortal would ever know. Taking your last breath, you left this world in disarray. But in bright souls there is no room, no eternal place for sorrow, grief, rage, and pain. But on this ground shadows roam, shooting those from love, light, and hope. And so, my friend, who has claimed by the stars their own, return to us the smile you shared, the warmth we've all come to know. Let us cry crocodile tears to refill the dry Nile that quenches our hearts. Remind us to rejoice in the moments, for they are dear, and not to fear when we depart. A light was removed from the world, but may he never be thought far. For day or night he smiles with the stars. And until the day he returns from the skies, may we remember the memories he gave without delay. And live out our moments, if not for ourselves, then as accomplishments in his name. Love life for its glory, love the opportunities that may. And for the star burning bright, say carpe diem, seize this day.
That was beautiful and especially perfect because some of you may have seen either on Facebook or over there on that countertop, Shannon had a star named for Trevor. And so for her to do a reading about the heavens and the stars and that sort of thing is really appropriate. So thank you for that, Shannon. Next up, we're going to have Cambria Valere sing a song. Cam, are you still doing the song that you and Trevor wrote together? Yeah. Thanks.
So, thank you, Allison. Trevor and I were really good friends back when I lived in Mount Shasta, California, and that's where I first met him. And when he moved away, we always wrote to each other and told each other about what was happening in our lives and what was going on, and we always talked about like our relationships, what was working, what wasn't, and we just we lived our lives and we talked about everything. And Trevor helped me pick up my guitar after not touching it for so long. And I don't really know how to play that well, but he taught me how to play well enough to be able to share my emotions and my songs with people. So he inspired me through music, and he helped me with the chords, and he also helped me with the lyrics. So this is about our times when we were in relationships, and this is for you guys. Thank you. La 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 la. Sitting all alone 'cause everything went wrong. How did we get so caught up in the middle of misery and trying to stay strong, soaking in this pain I can't handle? Lying on this hillside, these clouds so dark as they continue crying. Can't tell their tears apart from I remember the days we were just friends though. I always thought that you were the one for me, the only one for me. But now in time, we were never meant to be, never meant to be. Here I am in the moonlight, wishing you were here to kiss and hold me tight and turn this loneliness back into love again. And there I go, losing my mind, debating who was wrong and who was right. But we got through all of the stress and cleaned up our messes. All my life, you were everything to me, everything to me. But now in time, we were never meant to be, never meant to be together. Together, yeah. And when you see the light, yeah, when you see the light, remember who was always standing right there by your side. And when I see the light, yeah, when I see the light, you're close and hard, but distance will never tear us apart. Now in time, you were everything to me, everything to me. And on this hill, I remember we would sing, you and I, we used to sing, damn baby, la 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 la, la 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 la, la together.
So Stephanie is going to be doing a reading for us as well. Stephanie. And at the next break, if you haven't signed the memory book, please take an opportunity to do that, or sign a note for one of the cranes.
As I sit in heaven and watch you every day, I try to let you know with signs I never went away. I hear you when you're laughing and watch you as you sleep. I even place my arms around you to calm you as you weep. I see you wish the days away, begging to have me home, so I try to send you signs so you know you are not alone. Don't feel guilty that you have life that was denied to me. Heaven is truly beautiful, just you wait and see. So live your life, laugh again, enjoy yourself, be free. Then I know with every breath you take, you'll be taking one for me. Do not stand at my grave and weep. I am not there. I do not sleep. I am 1,000 winds that blow. I am the diamond glint on snow. Sorry, my nose.
It's okay.
Yeah, we understand.
Thank you. I am the sunlight on ripened grain. I am the gentle autumn rain. When you awaken in the morning's hush, I am the swift, uplifting rush of quiet birds in circled flights. I am the soft stars that shine at night. Do not stand at my grave and cry. I am not there. I did not die. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Stephanie. I'm not sure if I could get through some of these things I've asked other people to read. Next, we were going to show a video that Trevor made. It's a documentary video that's 12 minutes long. It's called Blue Crow. And it is a video that Trevor made for his college stint at Expression College for Digital Arts. It was a class assignment. He and a classmate made it. And we were going to show that now, and we can show that, but unfortunately we can't figure out how to get sound on it for everybody to hear. And I'm sure that many, many, many of you have seen it. Others may not have. It's really quite remarkable. I see my husband moving toward the computer. Did you figure out how to get sound?
What I think I'll do is show it here and do it on my phone at the same time, because my phone is hooked into the sound system.
Oh.
And see if we can't sync it.
Okay. So we're going to try to show the Blue Crow video and try to get sound. For those of you who've seen it, if you need to refresh your libations, if you need something else to eat, please don't hesitate to get up and mingle and move around. If you haven't seen it, it's really an amazing story about Trevor and part of his life's journey. And if we can't get all the sound stuff to work, if you just go on YouTube and search Trevor Holminski, it shows up and it's called Blue Crow. And it's actually really, really a cool story. I also want to give a special shout out to the many kids who are here who spent time with Trevor in Utah during his treatment odyssey. It's amazing, amazing to have you kids here. Jillian, Cece, there's so many of you here, and I just can't believe we had Jillian come from Kentucky. Cameron is not a Utah kid, but came from Washington, D.C. We have kids from all over the country here, and it's really, really amazing. So we're going to go ahead and see what we can do with the whole Blue Crow thing. If you guys want to get something to eat. After.
All right, wait.
Yeah, I think when you'll do whatever it takes to save the life of your child. And, coming from a business background, it was really interesting to have a problem that was so near and dear to me, but that I couldn't fix. And I could always fix things at work, and if I didn't know how to fix it, I could talk to somebody who knew how to fix it. In this case, we had to talk to other people because we didn't know how to fix our son, and you were the most important thing to us, and we just felt lost and scared and all different kinds of emotions because we couldn't fix you. And so when somebody said, here, this is going to help fix your family and fix your kid, you need to do these therapy assignments, bring it. So.
I guess the story really started when I was I was a freshman in high school. The fighting at home turned from passive aggression into, I guess, active aggression. The physical line got broken, and that was when I tried to run away and ended up on 5150, the lockdown. It was a weird experience. We weren't allowed to leave our chairs. We were given a chair when we were admitted. All strings and sharps were taken off of our person, and we were placed in our chair and reclined into a bed. And aside from the bathroom, you never got out of it. I understand it was a safety precaution, but it was strange being confined to a chair. Not a room, but a chair. The second night that I was in psych ward on 5150, I was told at something like 3 in the afternoon that I had been cleared for release and my parents should be picking me up. I got called in to see the psychiatrist, and I figured this was when they were gonna let me out. And I go in there, and there are these 3 guys, and I don't know who any of them are. It was these 2 really big Polynesian guys, and this really stocky Russian guy who's built like tanks. And they said that I was supposed to come with them. So naturally, my response was, well, show me the paperwork, show me the signature. And they did. They did that. Yeah, so they told me that I wasn't allowed to know where I was going until we were in the car. Once we got to altitude, you could just see the sun setting still. You could see that stretch of pink across the black night sky. I was looking down California for the last time in who knows how long at a romantic partner that I never got to say my goodbyes with. I mean, the last thing that I said to her for 2 years was, I'll see you tonight. We landed in Vegas in the parking garage. They handed me off to an off-duty sheriff and his son who transport part-time. And they drove me hours. We ended up in southern Utah, just outside of a town called Enterprise. It must have been 2 in the morning at that point. And I go in with the transporters and they handed me off to my new home. I was so wrong. They took all my clothes and gave me new ones, which I was pretty mad about because I wanted to maintain my individuality. But I later became very grateful for because it was really cold outside. Once we got that exchange done, they took my picture and put me in a car, blindfolded me, and just started driving. We drove about 3 hours into the middle of nowhere. It was all dirt roads. There were no houses visible for literally miles. It was dark, there were 3 feet of snow on the ground. And we get out and they hand me my personal belongings, which at this point are contained in the garbage bag. And this stuff was really heavy. We're talking 65, 70 pounds of stuff. And they had me walk about 3/4 of a mile in Crocs through waist-deep snow with that stuff on my back to get to my camp. It was dirty. We were in a canvas tent, which I later found out was like the Hilton. I spent 98 days in the wilderness.
So what did you guys do every day?
We would get up, we would make ourselves breakfast after rekindling the fire off coals that were left over from the night before. We would break down camp until there was no visible trace that there had ever been a camp there. Then we would start hiking. For the first 2/3 of your stay or so, you had to make your backpack out of parachute cord, tarp, and webbing. And that was a skill that took practice. Your first couple of packs were really uncomfortable and they tended to explode. We would hike anywhere from 1.5 miles to 12 miles, just depending on how far we needed to go. Generally along the way we would find a water source of some kind, whether it was a trough for cows to drink from or a stream. We had sanitizing drops.
How did they flavor the water?
The chlorine tasted awful. We hated the chlorine. The 07 was actually was pretty transparent. Our favorite was when we would get a good stream with 07 drops. And we actually prefer the chlorine with troughs because you don't want to taste what was in those water sources. That was disgusting. And we had this strict routine, so we had to set up our camp, write in our journals. You were to wash your face and then brush your teeth and get your hygiene checked off. And at that point, once everyone had done that, we were allowed to go to bed. That was the story of every day, though. We just wanted to go to bed. In the wilderness, we had therapy once a week. A therapist would come out and meet with us, usually on Monday. Dave was something. Dave did his job very well. Very smart man. Very good therapist. I did not like him. He was very harsh. He did break me down. That was his objective, was to put me into that space where I could grow up again. He did it incredibly well, but it wasn't fun to go through it. There were very few sessions with Dave that I did not cry for most of the session.
What did you feel that was for?
At the time, I didn't really see a purpose. I just thought he was mean. I just thought Doc Dave liked to pick on children, and that's why he was a therapist.
Was he testing on something that he didn't test on?
I didn't see it, but yeah, what he was doing, he was trying to elicit the problems and the emotional responses that got me sent away in the first place. At Red Cliff, every student was required to bow 14 fires in order to graduate. I ended up being required to bow 100 fires. So most people had to bow 14, I was required to bow 100. It was a therapeutic device that Doc Dave threw in to elicit a response. And at that point I had a broken hand, so I couldn't bow yet. I was pretty upset. There was a picture of me that got sent back to my parents that just had me almost in tears, looking just desolate, soul crushed, holding up a sign that said 100 fires is a load of crap. I got very, very good at it, so I would go 25 in a day. They weren't a problem anymore. There was a special privilege awarded to about 1 in 10 students that went to Red Cliff, and that was you were awarded with a knife, and it was a huge trust thing. They didn't give it to you unless they really thought you deserved a knife, and I was awarded a knife as well as an earth name. An earth name was something they awarded to more students, but again, it was something that they would only give it to a student if they believed that you had grown, made an effort to better yourself while you were out there. And I was awarded with the name Blue Crow. It was when I was given this. I was awarded the name Blue Crow because it described me the way they put it. It was blue, which was for friendliness, openness, freedom, but at the same time it can connotate sadness, depression, melancholy, loneliness. And the crow, which is an incredibly intelligent bird, an amazing communicator, but is also often viewed as a trickster or manipulative in a lot of lore. The name really, it symbolizes the dualities that people saw in me. Both sides definitely still exist, they probably always will, but that name was a reminder to be conscious of which one I'm showing people. 2 days before you were to graduate, you were put on something called a vision quest. And Vision Quest was, it wasn't an actual Native American Vision Quest, although that's what it could have been if it would have been longer and not paid for in a therapeutic program. You were put off on a solo. You've done solo before, it was just camping. You'd set up your own camp away from the group, and you weren't allowed to communicate with the group in any way. So I was on the Vision Quest for a few days, just in my own camp, and just getting to think and reflect and get ready for the fact I knew I wasn't going home next day. And on that day, they came out the truck and I packed up camp and got in the truck. They didn't blindfold us. That was the time that we didn't get blindfolded. That's what it was. They drove us back to the base camp. We were given a shower. It was the first actual shower that we had gotten, any of us had gotten in. For me, it was, like I said, 98 days. Your first shower in 3 months, that is a beautiful experience. Let me tell you what, I could hear the trumpets of heaven. We were told that one by one we were to be called up, and there was this path, and they said, just run down the path. When they called my name, I got up and I started jogging down the path. And I was starting to slow down because I've been running for a while. I don't know where this is going. And then I come around a corner and I can see my parents that I haven't seen in months standing in front of me. And I just kicked it right back up into overdrive. And I just kept running. And when I got to them, we hugged. It was reuniting a family that the last time we saw each other was a physical fight and them calling the police. And this was us getting to see each other again after going through therapy and having a mediator and writing letters to each other and me opening up. It was getting the family put back together for the first time.
Yeah, I feel great. I'm incredibly proud of you, Trevor. You have walked a path that many people 4 times your age haven't walked. And the things you have done in your short life are amazing to me, and the progress that you've made. And when I think about how close we came to losing you,
one of the things that I really wanted to make clear was, unlike some of these other boys, the way they felt, I had to tell them, especially during the goodbye group and any other chance I got, that a lot of the parents don't send you to treatment to get rid of you. They send you to treatment to get you back. Okay, so I'm here getting therapy, and my parents are out playing golf and
Right.
taking
Going on
vacations
vacations and
enjoying life. And it's not necessarily that way.
absolutely not. When he was in the wilderness, we didn't have any contact with him except letters. And every Wednesday, Doc Dave would call us and tell us how our son was doing. And we would sit around from Thursday till Wednesday morning waiting to talk to Doc Dave again. And then we'd talk to him and then we'd wait around.
See, that's funny, because I would wait around from Monday to Monday for Doc Dave to leave again. So I could not be talking to him anymore.
It's kind of funny. Different sense of Doc Dave.
Yeah, apparently. Because my happiest moment was he was in the car driving away, and I was like, "Bye, Dave."
Sort of prophetic. I had no idea how much that video would actually come to mean to us. And for some of you who don't know Trevor's history, he had a bit of a tumultuous adolescence, and that was part of what took place. He made an amazing turnaround, got his life together with the help of some of the people in this room, both students and staff from his treatment odyssey in Utah, and turned into an amazing young man. And thank you to all the AV magicians, Allie et al., Alana, who made that actually work. Appreciate that. We're going to wrap up with Jenny singing 2 more songs, and then we're going to start off with one of Trevor's very best friends, Amber, doing a bit of a reading to kick off the Let's Tell Trevor Stories and that sort of thing. So, Jenny, when you are ready.
In a place whisper of smoke. You could lose everything. The truth is you'll never know. So I'll kiss you longer, babe. Any chance that I get, and I'll make the most of the minutes in love with no regrets. Let's take our time, say what we want, say what we got, for it's all gone. No, we're not promised tomorrow. So I'm gonna love you like I'm gonna lose you. I'm gonna hold you like I'm saying goodbye. Wherever we're standing, I won't take you for granted. 'Cause we'll never know when we'll run out of time. So I'm gonna love you like I'm gonna lose you. I'm gonna love you like I'm gonna lose you. Hey, ooh. I'm gonna love you like I'm gonna lose you. I'm gonna hold you like I'm saying goodbye. Wherever we're standing, I won't take you for granted. 'Cause we'll never know when we'll run out of time. So I'm gonna love you like I'm gonna lose you. I'm gonna hold you like I'm saying goodbye. Wherever we're standing, I won't take you for granted. 'Cause we'll never know when we'll run out of time. So I'm gonna love you like I'm gonna lose you. I'm gonna hold you like I'm gonna lose you.
Stunning, Jenny. Just remarkable. Thank you, sweetheart. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. I do have one other announcement that I did remember that I would like to make, and that is that we have so many pictures of Trevor at home, both actually printed and digitally. And as I mentioned, Allie put together all these amazing, beautiful picture boards. If any of these photos speak to you and you want them, please feel free to peel them at the end of this off the picture board and take them home, because we don't need them. Chances are we already have them, and if we don't have them actually printed, we have them digitally. So if you see a picture you like, please, we would be honored if you would go ahead and grab it. So with that, Amber, we're gonna just now jump into just people telling various stories and sharing their thoughts about Trevor. Again, it's sort of free flow. Please get up and help yourself to some libations, more food if you're hungry. And if you have thoughts to share, please come up and share them. We would love to hear your thoughts about Trevor.
Tell them to eat the food so it doesn't get thrown away.
Frank wants everybody to eat the food so it doesn't get thrown away. Because we cannot take it home. We have no room in our fridge. Especially Adam needs to eat the food. And Rob needs to eat the food. If you guys go hungry. Trevor and Amber have been good friends since second grade. Amber used to come over and play for hours. Amber and Trevor and Calissa were the triangle of fun. That they would have this goofy little handshake sign thing that I don't even know what it meant. But Amber goes way, way, way back for us, and I love that you wrote something to say, sweetie. So here you go.
Thank you. Oh gosh.
And next up, come on up.
I am not poetic, and I most definitely am not the most fluent of writers, but I will try my best to produce a speech worthy of Trevor Holminski. 12 years is a long time. In 12 years, I could finish quite a few lifetime achievements. But what I gained in 12 years of my life was not a career or a skill. What I gained, I'm sorry.
Sorry, sweetie.
What I gained was the most sincere friendship I could have ever asked for. Trevor taught me so much about life and even myself, and I will keep and cherish these lessons with me for a lifetime. I know in some sense T is still with us every day, and just like we see stars when they are no longer shining, we can see him in sunsets, flowers, and even color. These are reminders that this isn't strictly goodbye, but rather, until next time, friend. Thank you.
Really, really beautiful. Oh, Jill is on it. Our friend Jill from Mount Shasta has known Trevor pretty much his entire life. Woohoo!
Trevor, as we all know,
He was a superhero.
superhero, and he told me today I had to come and represent.
I love it.
And because we all love Trevor so much, I know that we all are superheroes too. And when I think of Trevor, I think of him in the air. Whether he was on the top of a climbing wall, or hanging upside down from a huge boulder, or doing flips on a snowboard, he was amazing. And I have known him since he was a little guy, and I had the privilege of knowing you guys, and I just want to say thank you for Trevor.
Thank you.
Because his huge heart, he was fearless and so confident and amazingly smart and funny, so funny. I mean, deadpan, you know? And
Tell the Frankie birthday story.
And so one time I was visiting and I was on my way to my boyfriend's house, and his son is about the same age as Trevor. And Trevor, so I said, Trevor, and Trevor was like, I don't know, Frankie was turning 10 or 9. I said, Trevor, what should I get a 9-year-old boy? And he looked at me and just totally straight faced and said, a rocket launcher. I mean, just like no hesitation. And you know, he was right. It must have been perfect. So, you guys, and one of the things that marks you guys, you as a family, was the way that you came together during those really tough years. Like, just came together and knew each other through your love and your challenges, and I'm so touched by that so deeply. And Trevor came through that, you all came through that with such beauty and grace. And he just turned into this amazing gentleman and thoughtful, deep person, which was always there. Those seeds were there the whole time, but to see that blossom, I feel blessed. And all of us are better in this world because of Trevor.
Beautiful. Thanks, Jill. Calissa and Trevor and Amber, who just spoke a minute ago, were the triangle of fun. Now Calissa's going to share some thoughts.
I was one of the sides of the triangle of fun, so there was 3 of us. Trevor was one of the most beautiful, genuine souls I have ever met. He had the most contagious smile and laugh. Like, as soon as Trevor would throw his head back and start laughing, like, you couldn't help but just start rolling on the floor. I just wanted to share a quick story. We've been friends for about a little over 10 years now, and when the Holminski family moved back from Mount Shasta, we reconnected like no time had ever passed. Just best friends, and I remember this one time we were at Amber's house, and
oh boy,
Trevor, he said, "Hey guys, you want to pierce my ears? And we were like, oh, are you being serious? And he was like, yeah.
Yeah, he was
Do
serious.
you have a safety pin? And we're like, well, all right.
I've never forgiven you.
So I pierced the first one, and then Amber went in sideways in the second ear. So we got it fixed, and the Holminskis had already invited us out to dinner. And they took one look at Trevor's ears, and they were so mad at us, so mad at us. But if you know the Holminskis, you know that they are the most polite family ever. And we all still went out to dinner. And it was so amazing. And you guys are the most beautiful family, and just always welcoming us. And I just love you guys so much, and just wanted to share that with you guys. So thank you. What?
How you saved Trevor.
Oh, that's a great story. Calissa played a very, very big role in the ongoing mental health of our child and our family.
I don't know where to start.
Try not to cry.
I've been doing that all night. I think you can tell. Trevor, when you guys moved back when we were in 8th grade, you spent that whole summer together. We spent so much time together, making music, everything. And I remember freshman year came around, and he met new people. You meet new people. That's how it happens. And I had seen him at school one day, and he was going down a path that I didn't like. I saw him. He wasn't the person who was my best friend in that mind state. He wasn't. He was always my best friend no matter what, but it was different. And that day I was at school, and I didn't know what to do because something's not right. And I just value Trevor's life so much, and I had to make one of the toughest decisions ever. And I decided to call Allison and tell her, because I had heard that Trevor was going to run away that night with the girl who he had been. And when I saw him, yeah, I just knew that it was that night he was going to sneak out his window and run off to LA, and I wasn't going to let it happen. Trevor was one of the most important people in my life, still is, and yeah, I figured after it, he'd either still love me or he'd hate me, and I was willing to take that risk. So, yeah, but thank you.
So Calissa called me and said, you need to know that Trevor's going to run away tonight, and he's got a bag packed under his bed that has this, and this, which meant, yeah, he was in this for the long haul. And he's going to leave you a note saying that he went to Seattle, but he's really going to go to LA. And because Calissa did that, we were able to head that off at the pass and make sure that our son did not disappear into that black hole abyss of runaway teens. So Calissa, I will forever be grateful. Who else has a Trevor story? Here comes one. Here comes several. Excellent. Line them up, kids, because I know there are a lot of Trevor stories in this room. And if I don't get the opportunity to introduce you, if you would let us know your name and how you know Trevor. Am I supposed to do something with this?
No, it's recording.
It's recording. Excellent. Okay. Who's first?
I don't know. Okay.
Well, you got it.
You got it.
Okay.
Go for it, Pierce.
So Pierce and Casey and Tyler were all college roommates, and to walk into their house was a Nerf war heaven. The Nerf guns that you see on a bunch of the tables, Nerf bullets, everywhere, all over the floor, guns, and ambushes were a constant. So Pierce, Casey, and Tyler, I'm sure, have some stories to share. Thanks, you guys.
So on that,
It was actually Trevor's idea to go and impulsively buy Nerf guns. We invested quite a bit of money into it. How much? Almost
Whose money here?
Parents.
Loans.
Whoever paid for our loans.
It had to be like 600 in like a week.
Oh man, it was bad. I kind of just wrote something that I wrote quite a lot of words in case I couldn't, power through this because, I remember the days when we would make trips as groups of friends to the public market instead of strangers condensed into an apartment. He drove us to spend money on time together, and we followed along much more than willingly. We started out as regular roommates, and over a short amount of time, we became great friends. I wasn't as social as I wanted to be during high school, and I really enjoyed the company. I really didn't enjoy company with others until we began Expression College, surrounded by artists. I'm still not that great at socializing, but I definitely learned to get better at it through Trevor. I lived with him for 2 years, and seeing him basically 90% of that time, it was my best experience so far, just in anything. Living with someone as intelligent as him for so long, it acted as quite the incubator for my own brain. I became a lot smarter after meeting him. This is, I think, the one thing that drew us pretty close. If you're unaware of Trevor's gift of chromosynesthesia, it's a neurological phenomenon in which stimulation of one sensory or cognitive pathway leads to an automatic involuntary experiences in a second sensory or cognitive pathway. In his case, just dumb it down, when he heard music, he involuntarily perceived colors in his mind. In my time spent with him, I learned that I have that too. It's special. I had always suppressed it when I was growing up because people would say I'm weird or that I don't make sense. We discovered how much fun it was to listen to music and discuss our, what I like to call superpowers. As an example of that, it was very entertaining to hear that all of the music today had some degree of purple in it. I thank you guys for that. Simply being in the company of someone who understands what it's like to have chromosynesthesia was enough for me to consider him a true friend. It enhanced our interpretation of all music, as well as specifically electronic music, which we listen to a lot, and I still listen to. He was an artist above many things, and in that sense, though, I think he was more of like a gifted artist who found interest in other things like, the military and all that. He very much, he based his musical alias actually off of the synesthesia thing. He called himself Chromatose. He actually has some songs on SoundCloud. You should check it out. What was it? Oh, to end on that. The few times that we discussed our very personal synesthetic and colorful interpretations of songs were the best conversations in my life. Said we can't have that again. We felt like people that had, like TV shows and stuff with special powers that could only relate to each other because they're just so different. Anyways, with these guys and Trevor, I'm glad that we got to spend a few years, even if just 2, playing as many video games as we did. I went to college also with Trevor, College for Digital Arts, so did these guys. I did the video game art and design program. Yes, it's a thing. How do they exist if no one makes them? They get paid for it. I'll never forget the kingdoms in Minecraft that were connected by railroads and underwater glass tubes invented by Trevor. Our flawless teamwork and occasional C4 sniping in Battlefield. The biggest plot twist ever that he predicted of a Queen Butt Stallion in Borderlands 2. Sure, that makes no sense to most of you. On that night, it was like 4 in the morning. We'd been playing all day, and the thing that he predicted happened. And we're just a bunch of college roommates yelling about like a diamond pony in the morning. I don't think we woke our neighbors. And his addiction to space and space exploration led to some really chaotic spaceship battles and some planetary eradication, as he called it.
They crashed the server.
He made this giant spaceship that he called the Middens. What was that? The reference to that? Like, why was he so obsessed?
I don't remember.
It might have been a Mitt Romney thing.
Oh yeah.
That's what it was. It was a Mitt Romney thing.
Yeah, he was so obsessed with how he wasn't, I guess, appropriate, and so he nicknamed him Middens. And from then on, if he wasn't sure what to call something, he'd be like, "It's the Middens." He did some pretty intense things. He really tested the limits of that game with his brain. Yeah, we had a lot of fun just living together. All the things we shared, like our intelligence, the groundless synesthesia, which wasn't until later. I don't think we ever had anything negative towards each other. We always just wanted to bring out the positives of things. I'm just really glad to have met him. And actually, when I first found out about recent events, I'm really glad that Tyler here came to me in person to tell me, because he found out just from a Facebook post. And I wasn't really sure how to feel about that at first, because I hadn't lived with him for almost a year. And that night, I just, let it all out. I'm really glad I did.
Sorry to interrupt, but two of our Utah kids drove here last night and have to go back to work tomorrow. And they want to speak. And so I want to get them back on the road. They don't want to leave until it's their turn. I'm in charge. So,
I can wait.
Brindy and Ariel, Quadra. Brindy and Ariel are LDS, and they were folks that we met in Utah. Brindy was our
Front desk clerk.
Thank you, front desk clerk. My wife is much more intelligent than I am, and less emotional bullshit. And Ariel and Brittany met on mission in Chile. And Ariel snuck up to Utah and caught Brindy off guard in the middle of the night in her pajamas. It's a YouTube video. And she was shocked and slammed the door in his face. They're now married. Ariel is a U.S. citizen. They have two lovely little girls, and there's a Facebook post that she did not long ago in tribute to Trevor, which is the three of us laying on the floor with their youngest Lizzie, or their oldest Lizzie. They love him.
Yeah, so I worked at the hotel. I worked at a Marriott hotel where Frank and Allison would frequently come. And the very first time Allison came, one of the things we asked is, what brings you into town? And she started to cry, and she said, I'm seeing my son for the first time in a while. And he's at this school, and I'm just really nervous. And, we just hit it off. We became really good friends. We started going out to dinner with them. They started calling me their daughter. And then it was awesome. We loved having them there. And then Ariel came up, and by that time, Trevor and I were really close. Trevor treated me like a sister. He loved me like a sister. I loved him like his brother. I have many brothers. I have 8 brothers already. I'm Mormon. I think he already told you that. One mom, just one.
Good heavens, is one.
Anyway, so he treated me like a brother. He treated me very well. And when Ariel asked me to marry him, Trevor took him aside and gave him a little talk. So I'll let him tell that part of the story.
So it's true, there are 8 brothers in that family, and there are 8. And I was really afraid of that, but by the way, you need to set up your subtitles to understand what I'm saying, because the accent is not a cool thing, it's actually me. When I met the Holminskis, Trevor put me aside. I was so nervous that day. And he said, Brindy is my sister, and if you do something to her, you will have to come to me. And I was not afraid of the other 8 after that conversation. That day I was super nervous. I was literally raised in a barn, and we were in a fancy restaurant. I had never been in a restaurant like that before, and there were 1,000 forks, and what do you do with those? And that was the same day Trevor talked to me, and Trevor probably noticed that I didn't know what to do with those forks. And Trevor looked at me, waited until nobody was looking around, and he said, "Go pee me." And that's what I did that night. I ate the same things he was eating at the same time he was eating, using the same forks he was using. And that's the brother that will stay with us forever. And we love you, Holminskis. Okay, now we're gonna give it back to the stories of college.
Thank you so much, Brindy and Ariel. It just amazes me that Brindy was the front desk clerk at the Provo Marriott Courtyard when we would go visit Trevor all the time when he was in Utah, and that we are still friends, and they've been to visit us a couple times. We've been to visit them a few times. It's just amazing. So thank you so much, you guys. Have a safe drive back.
Ariel has to go to work tomorrow morning.
He's got a job, he needs to get
So
back
he's
to work.
driving home tonight. So talk about dedication.
Thanks, you
You
guys.
retired back?
All right, who's up next? Tyler. So Tyler is the next in the group of the roommates. There you go. Thanks, you guys.
Oh, geez. Where do I start? Pierce mentioned Minecraft. So one of the first nights, it was fairly early on, we mentioned the game Minecraft to Trevor, and he'd never played it. I think he'd heard of it. And so Minecraft's like a really basic 3D block building game. It's
Legos for adults.
Legos for adults, yeah. So we introduced Trevor to this game that night, and I think these two ended up crashing at a certain point, probably like at 3 or 4 in the morning. And me and Trevor kept sitting in the room next to Casey, and I think you were in the other room. And we sat on the floor and we kept playing until about 7 or 8 in the morning.
I was in school at 9.
And Trevor had class at 9 o'clock. And it just got worse from there. We did not stop playing that game.
Weeks.
weeks. I don't think I've played video games so much in my life. I don't even want to touch on that anymore.
You made us patient.
Trevor really became a brother to me. We had some really in-depth private conversations, and we all had group conversations as well. And
I think we all have those.
yeah, he left a part of himself with me, and I'm sure all of us, and I'm going to carry that with me for the rest of my life. So
that's it for me. Huh? Oh, I don't need that. One of the things that I wanted to talk about first, when we met Trevor, we were just the three of us. Our roommate had just left to go move into some other place or something like that, so we had to have another person come in because we were in a college program. And when Trevor first came in, you guys remember, I was scared of Trevor. And I was very wrong. Trevor had a very big heart, and we had a lot of heart-to-heart conversations. And big forums. And forums. Trevor would often, when it was just me and him alone, when I started working at Jamba Juice and stuff like that, he would come in and I'd be playing video games, and he would just sit down on the floor of my room and just lean against the wall and just start talking. And he would just, talk to me about whatever was on his mind. We talked about relationships, we talked about, what's going on in the apartment, and it was really great having like another male kind of guy that, I could sit down and talk to them about kind of some emotional stuff. It was really great. But one of the things that me and Trevor shared a lot was Nerf. And we got a little too serious with Nerf guns. And by that, I mean, Trevor got a nickname from our Nerf group name. They called him Sarge because he started wearing military fatigues to every game. He had a helmet that he would strap his smokes to on the side. He had his full tactical vest with all of his little magazines. Tyler always corrects me on that. And one of my favorite things that we ever did was we figured out that the Bay Area was a great place for public Nerf games. Yes, you heard me right. We ran around San Francisco and shot each other with Nerf guns on the weekly basis. Weekend. Yeah, on the weekends. Pretty much every Saturday, sometimes Fridays. One of my favorite things that we ever did was we kind of found this website called Meetup where people would schedule these kinds of things. And we knew where it was that we were going. We didn't know how far it was going to be. We ended up walking all the way down the Embarcadero with our duct tape holsters on each leg that we rode on the BART and then started taking out of our backpacks and getting all strapped up and putting our swords in our backpacks and holstering our guns with our little straps and stuff like that, and just hopped off the BART like we were going to war and walked all the way down the Embarcadero, all the way. There were people in the duck buses driving by that were laughing at us and taking pictures. There were drunk people trying to ask us, "Hey bro, shoot me bro, come on man, I can take it." But we made it. We got attacked by the Bushman of San Francisco and we shot him. That gun right there on that table. And it was a blast. We got there a little late, so we were a little late to the party. We were a little late to the party for Humans vs. Zombies at some green fort Place up in there. San Francisco. Place in San Francisco. Beautiful venue. And that kind of led us onto our expensive path to forming Team Friendship, which was our Nerf squad for Humans vs. Zombies at San Francisco State University. And we would do that every Saturday. It was great.
So I've got one more thing to add. Many times I would have this joke thrown at me by my girlfriend. She would always say how she thinks I love Trevor more than her. And now I look back at it, and I think at certain times I did. Because I'd sit in class, and I'd just be thinking, oh, I get out in 20 minutes, I get to hang out with Trevor. Sweet. I walk in, I'd be like, Trevor. He'd be like, Tyler. And we play video games till 2 in the morning.
Forgot what it was. Eventually, with the college roommate story, it kind of ended with them two living separate from us, and it was just Trevor and I in one apartment, and that was so much fun because, you know, once Trevor is home, it's like that's the only other person who lives here. I can stop thinking about things in life for now. We can just, you know, relax, watch Netflix, or play games. He's such a great person. I learned so much about myself and just in general. And, you know, like I said, he was an incubator. And I'm sure everyone else feels that way. Just like whenever you're around him, you just think, that's a smart person. He's a smart person. Life is better with him around. And I'm very sad that he's gone, but I am glad that he was part of my journey. And I will never forget it.
Sorry, I know I'm kind of hijacking this, but I'll get to you soon. I just wanted to touch real quickly on how accepting Trevor was. One of the things that we did in the apartment when I first moved in is me and Trevor would sit down and we'd watch My Little Pony together. Tyler was a little less accepting of it, as Pierce was. Pierce would sit down with us, but Trevor not only like accepted my little weird hobby, but Trevor participated and actually like really enjoyed it with me. And he gave me this shirt for Christmas that year. And it's one of my favorites. I have a big collection, but this one is my favorite. And so I wanted to wear that today for Trevor.
Thank you.
Is this on? Is it? Okay. Okay, so I'm Emily. I met Trevor at Discovery Ranch. That's in Utah. We were at the same center. I guess one of the biggest things is, as I'm hearing everyone talk, everyone says that he was like a brother to everyone. And those are my thoughts exactly. He was just always so accepting of everyone. Sorry, this is hard. And I really enjoyed when you would get to a certain level, you could go to the co-ed lunches and things like that. And I remember we would always sit together at lunch and we would just talk and laugh and have so much fun. And I know when one of the other boys started picking on me, as people do, he was the only one who stood up and defended me. It was just one of the things he did, and I remember being so impressed with, we talked years later, and I asked him, how he was doing and, what had finally, decided to change for him. And he told me a story, and I'll relate it to you. So at the ranch, he had this, everybody loved him. The staff loved him, the girls loved him, the boys loved him. He was so well loved. But he was always running. It was always, oh, Trevor ran again. But, we loved him regardless. And I guess there was one day he had ran and he had climbed the rock wall, which, granted, really didn't feel that sturdy once you were at the top. It kind of just shakes a little bit in the breeze. And he told me that while he was up there, everyone's, scrambling around trying to, Trevor's, gone again, that he decided that this isn't how he wanted to live his life. He wanted to change and wanted to do something for himself. So he was just stuck up there and he had to get the staff, but it just really impressed me how he just changed his life, and he was just a great person, and he was a good friend to me, so he'll be missed.
I'm Megan. I actually am the rec therapist that works at Discovery Ranch in Utah. So, so after Wilderness, you saw his lovely hair there in the video. He came to Discovery Ranch, where we cut it all off and gave him a lovely haircut.
He didn't cut it off.
He didn't.
They cut it off.
We cut it off.
What pissed him off?
I know. But he liked it because he kept it. So it was interesting watching him grow from this scared, sad, depressed boy to a strong, amazing young man. And I was lucky enough to have him in one of my groups, and he got really into rock climbing there, which was so much fun to watch. I remember one of the activities we went on was canoeing activity, and he was just pissed off and depressed, and I was like, geez, Trevor, come on, just pull yourself out of it. And by the last half of it, he was like having a smile on his face, and he was happy, and it's kind of like what Emily said. Once he climbed that wall to the top and he looked down and he realized he actually had stuff to live for, and he had amazing parents who love him so much, and he had people and friends at the ranch who adored him and friends at home. That was like a serious changing point, I think. At least that's what he told us, that was a huge changing point in his life, where he was able to turn things around and like buckled down and worked really hard. And that's one thing I loved about Trevor, is that once he made up his mind about something, that's where he was going and that's what he was going to do. And he was determined, and he used his stubbornness in a good way. And he was just amazing that way. And I was so fortunate that after he graduated and left Discovery Ranch, that I got to go and climb with him and his parents. And we were able to go and do some really hard climbs and watch each other succeed on the wall and cheer each other on and have some awesome conversations. I was sad that we kind of lost touch the last couple of years, and it was shocked to me that he actually wanted to like go join the military, but it makes sense now that with all the Nerf stuff going on, it totally makes sense. So I just want to say that I know there's so many people in his life that love him, and I'm so grateful to have met Frank and Allison, and I adore you guys, and Trevor will be greatly missed. He was a great person and a wonderful, wonderful man with a huge heart. He was just a genuine, like probably one of the most genuine, kind people I've ever met in my life. So thank you.
I'm Cece. I'm here, and I want to share a good memory of Trevor and I. He was Discovery Ranch with me, and him and I were in the same caseload for many months. And we started to get our higher levels. We had a level system, and we got our levels around the same exact time. So we started to go off campus, and I remember like feeling like, oh, I feel like kind of like a normal teenager. I'm off campus. I'm not on a 40-acre ranch. Someone's not, watching me every single 2 feet. And Trevor and I had so much fun. We were like rugrats. Like we were having so much fun and just laughing. And purple is his favorite color. And like purple is everywhere. And purple is royal and confidence. One of my favorite colors too. And like when when a friend gives you something to remember or gives you advice, like take that with you. Trevor has given you advice or has touched you somehow, so remember what he's taught you so you can keep his spirit alive. And because his spirit is around us, around all of us, and is making everyone remember him, and we lead on from what Trevor has been given to us for positivity. He's a great leader and has great advice, so Trevor is definitely here in spirit, and it's really a blessing to be here, so thank you.
Hello, my name is Bram.
I had the opportunity to work with Trevor at Discovery Ranch as well as these people here. The best part of that job that I can say right now is, I mean, they did learn a lot. They grew a lot while they were there, but we were able to learn something from each and every one of the kids that came through. Trevor was the first person that taught me that just because I was older, I was not smarter than him. For those of you who knew Trevor, I had a thesaurus, I had a dictionary in my pocket. Whenever I wanted to talk to him, I had to make sure I was ready, and if I didn't understand something, I had to ask him. Also, how many of you guys have been told you can do anything in your life you want to if you just put your mind to it?
Oh yeah, everybody.
But sometimes it's harder than hell to do it, right? It takes every ounce of bits and pieces of us to do it. Trevor was somebody who, whatever it is he wanted to do, not only could he do it, but he could do it better than you. He could do it better than anyone else. That kid was the most talented student that I've ever seen. Rock climbing. I tried rock climbing for the longest time. And I don't know if you had a chance to look at some of the pictures up on the wall, but if you have somebody studying the muscles in somebody's back, you guys see those pictures of Trevor hanging on the boulder wall? You can see every single muscle in his back. That kid was a natural talent. The biggest thing, Trevor finished Discovery Ranch. He went to Discovery Academy, and they had a little dinner party at the chef's table in Provo, Orem area. I took my grandma as my date, and I love my grandma very much. Trevor literally met her for 3 minutes. Introduced himself, talked to her, and just he had such an impact on her in those 3 minutes that my grandma, even up until a few months ago when I had a break, a few months ago she had asked how he was doing, and I told her I had had some recent conversations with Frank and Trevor over Facebook. And then I had to break the news to her recently about what happened. But if each one of us can do what Trevor does and have that sort of impact with somebody in the first 3 minutes that you meet them, I think that will help honor Trevor. Frank and Allison, I love you guys. You guys have a huge family in Utah. If you guys ever need anything, holler, we'll come running, okay?
Hi, good evening. I'm AJ Martinez. I went to school with Trevor at Expression College for the Digital Arts in Emeryville. If there's one word that comes to mind about Trevor, respectful. Another word is hardworking, I would say. Another great person that I met in my life. And one thing I will always remember is this memory that we shared. It was a summer. Location, Mountain View, California. Vans Warped Tour. For those of you who don't know what Vans Warped Tour is, you should Google it. We had a wonderful afternoon. It was warm, the sun was shining, and he was enjoying every band that was out there. We both were. There was one band that we saw, however, where he said, "I'm going in the mosh pit." I said, "Are you sure?" He's like, "Yeah." I was close to that mosh pit, and I saw him stumbling out, and I asked him, "Are you okay?" "Yeah. I need to sit down for a minute." I took him over to the ER tent there at Warped Tour, and there were bands that I wanted to see. I didn't care. I wanted to make sure he was all right. And once he was taken from the ER tent to the hospital, the rest of the afternoon, I didn't care about the other bands that were performing. I really wanted to see them, but immediately after, I went to the hospital and I asked where Trevor was, went to his room, and he was there like a trooper in his bed, and he was asking, AJ? Yeah. How was it? First of all, question is, how are you? He said his head hurt. And I was like, well, you were in a really bad mosh pit. But one thing was that he said, thank you for coming back and not leaving. And I asked, why would I do that? And he said, thank you again. We went home, and that day I will never forget the lesson of friendship that he taught me. It was great. Another thing that he taught me was that if you fall down, don't lay there. Get back up and work hard to get it done. And that is one thing I will always remember. And to Mr. and Mrs. Holminski, you raised a fine son.
Thank you, AJ.
Here.
My name's Jillian Mindsey. I went to Discovery Academy with Trevor after he went to Discovery Ranch. I actually came all the way from Kentucky. I've always been a crier. As Trevor, my favorite color is also purple, and it's wonderful to see the sea of purple. One day when we were at Discovery Academy, we went on a trip to the arcade, and Trevor and I saved up enough tickets to get whatever we wanted, and he decided he wanted to get something matching with me. And we decided we were going to get pink princess pillows. They're in the shape of hearts. And 2 years later, out of Discovery Academy, back home in Kentucky.
Is that it?
No, that's not
That's
it.
a
But I
different
wish. Back when we were at home afterwards, graduated, all that fun stuff, we Skyped almost every day for a whole year. And we took a screenshot one day of both of us holding our princess pillows. And that's what reminds me of how sweet he was today. And this is Kayla here for moral support for me. She was at Discovery Academy with me also. And I haven't seen her in 5 years, as I have Trevor. So it's been a good week. Reminiscing on the past. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Andy, and I went to Expressions College of Digital Arts. And I remember the first time I met him was actually not at Expressions, and the first day we saw each other at Expressions, we did doubles, we did triple takes. We've seen each other before. 3 years, just about over 3 years ago, my old band, we played on this tour. We were opening for a touring package on Stockton at the Plea for Peace, and he was seeing Palisades, like one bands he was into and that I was into as well. And after our set, we just I started just hardcore dancing to other local bands, and then next thing I know, I just got clocked in the face, and then I just got the wind knocked out of me. Look up. Who pulls me up? It's Trevor. That's how we first met, and I didn't see him until probably October that year, and that's when I transferred out to Expressions, and that's when the incident, like double, triple takes, happened, and we just became really good friends. We could talk about music, we could talk about like anything, and sometimes we'd be just sitting in the cafeteria, or like I'm either playing like something on my computer, I'll be playing League of Legends, and he'll just be talking to me about life, and while I'm still playing my game, but I'm still keeping like a full conversation with him. And he's definitely a one-of-a-kind guy. Like, and this another funny moment that I remember about him is one time we were just in a room, we were just watching videos, and we were just recording our reactions to it, and it was like 10 or 15 minutes of us yelling at the camera about other videos, and he definitely had the best kind of one-liners or reactions. And yeah, that's it.
Hi again. I'm Cambria. I wanted to say little experiences that I've had with Trevor before I called it a night. Trevor was the most positive person I knew when he would talk to you. When he would give you advice, he would always tell you to keep going. He would always tell you to keep your head up. And I always told him, Trevor, take your own advice. It's amazing. It's so positive. It's so great. It's so beautiful. And every time he walked into a room, he would just light up the room. He would make jokes. He would laugh. His laugh was absolutely contagious. And I think we can all just hear it in our heads every day, every night when we think about him. He was an amazing guy. And I just want to briefly, I didn't get a chance to meet the roommates, but I do remember visiting Trevor at his school, and he gave my mom and I a tour around, and it was a great school, and I'm very proud of your guys' work, and I was so proud of Trevor's work. And I remember he showed me the apartment, and no one was there. It was just Trevor, my mom, him, and the parents, and we walk in, and there's Nerf things, parts everywhere. I'm stepping on them. I'm like, oh my gosh. And I pick one up and I throw it at him, and he was like, oh no, you didn't. And he runs over to his pantry and grabs a handful of goldfish and just throws it at me. And then he's like, I love goldfish. That's all he said. He just throws goldfish at me. He's like, I love goldfish. You can look at all our boxes, and there's just goldfish everywhere. And so that was that. And then we got home later that night, and that's when he helped me with my song, and he showed me how to use GarageBand, and it was so challenging. And then so we talked all night long, and the next day we got up early and we went to the rock climbing gym, and he told me all about all his experiences here and what he loved to do, all the people he loved meeting here, and introduced me to some people. And I bought a sweatshirt and I put it on, and I went rock climbing with him, and I got to the top, and he said, look, you're cool now. You can hang out with me once more. And then I got down and I took off my sweatshirt, and he wore it for the rest of the day, and he's like, you earned it. You earned every compliment. Because every time I'd go up there to the top, he would just scream. Like, everyone would look at us, and I'd be up on the rock climbing. I'd be like, I made it, and he'd be like, you made it. It was amazing. And Trevor will always hold that light deep within his heart and deep within our hearts, and we love him. And thank you all for coming so much. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Lu. I'm from Japan. Sorry. I met Holminski when I used to work at Marriott in Provo. One day when I was working at the front desk, Trevor and Frank and I came into the hotel, and then Trevor smiled at me. He said, "Konnichiwa." You know, people just assume I'm Chinese sometimes. But he knew I was Japanese, and then he had me there when he said "Konnichiwa" at me, and that's when all started. we we used to go climbing together, and then Trevor and Frank and Addison, they came to Japan and then spent time with my family. Every time my parents came to see me to United States, like they hang out with Frank and Addison and Trevor. And Trevor is always like, he's such a gentleman, and he always wanted to speak perfect Japanese, and he always asked me like, did I say it right? Like pronunciation is really important. And then every time it's just, he tried to talk to me in Japanese and then to my parents, and it was just so nice. And he always, like, every time we hang out, he gives me a big, strong hug and doesn't let me go. I'm really gonna miss his hug, and sorry. I love him and I love you guys. I'm so sorry.
I don't have anything prepared for Trevor, but I figured since my wife had the nerve to come up here, I might as well add to it. This is my wife of 4 years, Lou, and I also met Trevor through her in Provo, Utah, when he was spending some time there with his parents.
Tell the story in Japan when you guys met like cute Japanese girl in Kyoto.
Trevor, I'll work it in.
Okay.
I'll work it in. The thing I remember about Trevor the most is just he was one of those guys that just never seemed to lose like the innocence and the wonderment of life that kids have. And he was a man. I mean, don't get me wrong. He was a gentleman, and he was a very mature and bright young man, even at 20. 19, almost 20.
Oh, 20, I'm 20, sorry.
And I, you know, like, I would forget about him and just, you know, whatever, you know, whoever wanted to play with it or figured out that it was fully loaded. He always knew that they were because he saw me put the, you know, the little foam bullets in there. And every time I came out of the bathroom and walked around the corner, he had his gun directed, like, pointed directly at me. And I was just like, oh man, I knew it. And then after that, I stopped keeping them fully loaded under the table because I was just like, you know, I'm totally throwing myself under the bus here. But one of the things that made I think the most impact on me was how he felt about his family and especially his parents, Frank and Allison, because especially hearing how people described him today, I feel like if anything he was emulating them because he always told me how awesome Allison is, you know, how loving and how kind she is. And one of the things he told me about Frank, I'm sorry I'm getting a little misty-eyed about this because it made a difference in my life too. He would tell me, like, every time he would, either before or after he would visit them, you know, I would give anything to even be half the man that my dad is. And I was like, you know, I was just kind of moved by that because I didn't have a very, like, close relationship with my dad for a long time because, you know, after I had moved out after high school, he was, like, mad about it. And it's like, well, I'm growing up, you know what happens. But after you know, hearing him say that so many times, like I tried to make more of an effort to be closer to my dad, and I'm already close to my mom. She's like my other best friend. So I don't know, like I'm grateful to him for that, for like, you know, like not making me, but like kind of guiding me to like reach out to my family and like, you know, just love them and not take them for granted. So, yeah, I just wanted to share that with you guys.
Hi, my name is Austin, and I'd like to thank you all for still being here. It's going to be a longer night, but it's a testament to who Trevor was that everybody over here and everyone over here is still here, and that everyone is different and everyone comes from all walks of life, because he wouldn't exclude you, he wouldn't talk trash about you or anything like that. Best guy in the world. I remember my father could play guitar like a genius, and he learned guitar before me. He actually taught me how to play Smoke on the Water on this guitar. I remember this picture right here was a lot larger, and on the family room, we used to laugh about that. And we talked for hours about how the steel of these swords were folded for hours, and how samurai was pretty much the way of life. I never woke up since knowing Trevor and not expected to do push-ups in the morning and then attack each other violently with swords in the backyard for hours on end. And I want to say that he was one of my best friends, and he lit up my life from the second I knew him to the second I stopped talking to him, and as I'm sure he's touched everyone else here. So, thank you.
Thanks, Austin. Austin was one of Trevor's best friends early on. Austin's parents were our next door neighbors when Austin was maybe 4 and Trevor was 3, or maybe they were 4 and 5. And if the boys weren't at one house, they were at the other, and always together. So, Austin, it's amazing to see you, and thanks for sharing that. The boys were amazing. Like the full-on laundry basket down the stairs adventures kind of things. That was always going on at our house. Anybody else have any stories to share?
So, your son,
Your brother.
20. He had just begun. I had hoped that I would live long enough to see him graduate high school and graduate college and get married. And now I have to bury my son. How can I go on? How can I go on? I can go on because I know my son affected so many other people. He didn't just affect me. He didn't just affect his mom. He didn't just affect his family. He affected so many others. Oh, I hurt. I hurt huge. I hurt. But I am so happy that my son has affected so many others. That is a testament. You know, you hope as you grow that you affect your children. To see what my son has done to affect so many people. The only regret I have is that he's done at 20. That's my only regret. My son was awesome. My son was awesome. And I can say that my life is done, that my wife, I would give up if it wasn't for my wife. I can't leave her because I'm all his life. I love my son. I love my wife. I'm done.
Yeah. Tough times. Tough times around the Holminski household. I really want to thank everybody for coming, for staying. I want to remind you that if you see pictures that speak to you, please take them because we don't need them. We have copious amounts of wine, beer, and soft drinks and water at our house, as well as a whole bunch of food. So we would love to have you join us. Get out your phones if you need the address. I'll give you that. And Megan would like to take a minute. Thank you so much, you guys. You guys are lovely. And Megan's one of my favorite people from Discovery Ranch and Provo ever.
Okay, so I was actually going to give these in private, but I feel like I need to give them now. Discovery Ranch wanted to send something because we love you guys so much. So Frank, would you come up?
Don't make me cry. I will not be happy.
It's just a little something to tell you guys how much we love you.
Aww.
And how much we love Trevor. So,
I hope it's money.
And a lot of purple.
Is it?
You don't need money.
Is it?
Oh yeah, chalk bag. It's a climbing chalk bag. Thank you to the climbers in the back of the room. Thank you.
So it's just got the DR logo on it.
And the DR logo. Oh my God. And it says on it, on our climbing chalk bag, Trevor Holminski, climb mountains, not so the world can see you, but so you can see the world. Oh my God, beautiful. It's the same thing?
Yeah.
Beautiful. Amazing. Thank you.
I would hope that it would say the amount of money that we paid you to work with your Trevor will be refunded totally. Oh wait, it doesn't say that.
That's funny right there. That's funny. My husband cracked me up. Okay, everybody, thank you so much for coming. There's still probably food around, there's wine, whatever.
And if you want to come to our house, you have to pay $100 each.
Ha ha.
The chairman of the board said no.
We'd love to see you guys. We'd love to continue the conversation and the camaraderie. Thank you so much for coming. Friends, family, friends of my mom's, friends of the family. It's amazing to see everybody here. Friends from UCLA like a million years ago. Dave. Thank you for coming, everybody. The gals. Love you guys. Thanks, everybody.
Fellow Minecrafter and
oh wow.